Hey people of VC, it's Andy Cloudy Mulder. Today I am going to give you my thoughts and musings on one of the most widely anticipated albums of 2021, certainly within the metal community, and that is of course Helloween's self-titled album. It came out on 18th of June 2021, and as everybody knows, it was Helloween with the Pumpkins reunited lineup with Kai Hansen and Michael Kiske both rejoining the band. It's taken me a while to get around to talking about this album, and I wouldn't normally talk about an individual album in a video. I would normally just put it in an update, but I have seen reviews all over the spectrum with regards to this album. People claiming it's the best thing that they've ever done and a return to form, and people saying it is nowhere near as good as the 80s. Some people were expecting a return of the Keepers era albums, but as for me, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I kind of got back into Helloween. So I was a big fan in the 80s, but I kind of gave up on them when Kai Hansen left the band. And it was only recently when I picked up the Pumpkins United Alive, Helloween United Alive box set. This is the 5 vinyl box set, but within this box as well I've got the earbook with the CD and Blu-ray version of the show. Absolutely fantastic. And this kind of got me listening to Deris era Helloween and opening that whole can of worms and set of albums to go for. Now, I am by no means the biggest Helloween fan out there. I have only got about 4 Deris era albums. There's a few more for me to collect and digest, and I'm in no rush to get them. But I was highly anticipating the release of this album. I really wanted to see how Hansen and Kiske back in the band, what they would do to their advantage, and it didn't blow me away. In fact, this video was just going to be called Helloween, Is It All That? Because I felt a little not disappointed by it. I just thought they could have done so much more. To me, this is another modern Helloween album, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But I wanted to kind of, I don't want to do a ranking of albums because I don't think it's possible for me to do that. So where does this, I've got nowhere to put it, where does this album, you can't see it, rate? Now, I am not going to put it up against my Hansen Kiske 80s era Helloween collection. So we've got the self-titled EP from 85 on Noise Records. Walls of Jericho, obviously the first album in which when Hansen was on vocals, and then we've got the period that Michael Kiske joined the band, and everybody's favourites, Keepers of the Seven Keys Part 1 and Keepers of the Seven Key Part 2, and live in the UK, this is from 1989, which is mostly Keepers era songs played live in the Hammersmith Odeon, I think it is. Certainly one of the dates on the tour. So there's no point in me comparing this album to that classic era, because I've got 30 years relationship with those albums and that era of the band, and nothing they could have done will sway my thoughts on that being my favourite era. But, you know, Deris is still in the band. Deris has been in the band longer than Hansen and Kiske put together, and it's pretty much, well, it is his band now. He's one of the major songwriters in it, so I wasn't expecting it to be Keepers Part 3 by any means. However, I did kind of expect something a little different from just another Helloween album. Whereas I think it's an excellent album, I just don't think it stands out massively against the rest of their modern era collection. So where does this rate for me roughly within my small but perfectly formed Derris era collection. I call it the Derris era as though it's, it's as though he's some sort of the way to blame it on other, but it's literally just because that's obviously the albums that he is the vocalist on, and quite a major contributor. So obviously, I wouldn't compare it against Pink Bubbles Go Ape either. Pink Bubbles is one of those albums that everybody loves to hate, but I quite like it. I didn't know it when it came out, so I didn't have that expectation of it being Keepers 3 and then hearing this. But to me, this is their Turbo, the equivalent album in their collection that Turbo is to Judas Priest. I love Turbo. I think it's a fantastic album, but I don't think it fits necessarily in the Judas Priest rankings. It always tends to come out near the bottom when people do Judas Priest rankings, but I think it's a great album in its own right, but incomparable to the others. Same with this one. I think it's a really good album, but it's unfair to rate it against classic Helloween or modern day Helloween albums. So the other 4 Derris era albums I have are The Time of the Oath, Master of the Rings, Rabbit Don't Come Easy, and the previous album, My God Given Right. So Helloween is far better than My God Given Right. There are some good songs on this album. It's a fairly decent album, but it's not spectacular by any means, and has some of the worst artwork you'll ever see on a Helloween album. So this one wins. Now it kind of gets tricky. Rabbit Don't Come Easy. That was the first Derris era Helloween album I listened to, and I really, really like it. It's got some fantastic songs on here. Things like Don't Stop Being Crazy. Absolutely love that song. Liar. Open Your Life. Back Against the Wall. This is a superb album. I still would rate this one slightly higher. I know that's probably controversial, and I know a lot of people say that these are the best 2 albums when it comes to Derris era. I would put Helloween above Time of the Oath, but I'm not ready to put it above Master of the Rings just yet. Although this is growing on me. As I say, I started off, the idea first behind doing this video was that I was going to basically call out all the people that said this is one of the best albums ever, albums of the year. I still would be surprised. I don't think this would make my top 5 of the year. Earlier on, I might have said it's not going to make my top 10, but I have listened to it enough now and it's really starting to grow on me a lot. So I would probably rate it slightly behind Master of the Rings and Rabbits Don't Come Easy yet, but ahead of Time of the Oath. There are 12 songs on here. It's a long album, but it's not too long. And actually, what changed my mind was, okay, when I was thinking about how I was going to frame this video, I went away and I listened to Rabbit Don't Come Easy, then I listened to Helloween, then I listened to Time of the Oath, then I listened to Helloween again, and then I listened to Master of the Rings, all in the one day. I didn't listen to My God Given Right again because I've heard that a lot recently. I did that in a recent update, so that was still fairly fresh in my mind. I didn't need to listen to that one again just yet. But in doing so, I think the third time I listened to that, I started ranking the songs, writing them out of 10. And I think the worst song got a 5.5 out of 10, and the best song got a 10 out of 10 as far as I was concerned. So then I thought I would turn this into a little bit more of a the lights are going all weird outside, so I'm fading in and out of glorious Technicolor and blues as well, which seems a bit weird. Yeah, so the other thing I wanted to cover as well is the cover art is absolutely fantastic. I wasn't in a hurry to get this on vinyl because although I've got My God Given Right, and I got that just because it was cheap, I didn't want to pay the new price of the vinyl, but haven't seen the full artwork. Now this artwork is by a guy called, I knew I would forget his name, Eliran Kantor. Talk amongst yourselves. Eliran Kantor, yes, that's it. But the full artwork, as you can see from the middle of the CD, is absolutely fantastic. And this guy has a really distinctive style. And I know I've got another couple of albums by the same artist. So I started pulling out a few and then doing a bit of digging and found out I had a few more. So just before I get into the song ranking part of the video, I thought I would do a quick show of my Eliran Kantor collection. So there's the new or most recent Havoc album, Havoc 5. You can say the style is, you can tell straight away it's going to be one of these recognisable artists. Now this guy's been doing album covers for the best part of 17 years now, and some of these will be recognisable. This is one I didn't know that he had done. This is Skull by Evil from 2013. I didn't know he'd done that one. That's a slightly different style. And then probably the band he's most well known for is Testament, and I have 4 of the albums he's done for them. So we have Formation of Damnation, Dark Roots of Earth, Brotherhood of the Snake, and their most recent Titans of Creation. All in all, he's done probably 50 plus covers, and if you look at his website, elirankantor.com, you can see a whole host. He's done a lot more of sort of extreme metal covers as well. His style certainly suits that type of music. So, long story short, I'm really liking this album, and it is really growing on me. Unlike the lighting in here. Hold on 1 second, let me just turn that light on, see if that helps. May or may not have made any difference at all. But, okay, so there are 12 songs on this album. I'm only counting 11. Orbit number 11 is like an intro to Skyfall. So I'm going to rank these 11 down to 1 and missing out Orbit. So, number 11, and probably the, well, definitely the worst song for me, is Down in the Dumps at 6 minutes 1 second. That's how I felt after this song. It's just dull, plodding, complete filler for the album for me. Number 10, Angels. I found that one a little dull as well. I know it's good for an album to kind of slow the pace down and get you ready to kind of build up for the next stonking a great song, but it just didn't grab me at all, and I gave that one like a 6 out of 10. Mass Pollution was the next one, so that comes at number 9 out of 11. Again, it's catchy, but it's also annoying in equal measures. Robot King, I kind of expected after the first couple of listens that would come out higher. It's a good song. It reminds me, out of all of the songs, the most probably of the 80s era, but I found that got a little bit boring towards the end. It's too long. It's 7 minutes 8 seconds long. There's nothing wrong with long songs as long as you fill it with great music. Now, by all accounts, Robot King was written to go on this album, or at the time, and this is Robot King, so they went with a cover and didn't put the song in it. You could quote me on that, I may be wrong, but certainly this album would have been enhanced by having Robot King on it, that's for sure. But as I say, I just found it a little bit long, but it still got, over an 8 out of 10 from me. At 7 we have Cyanide. Now that's one of the shortest songs on the album at 3 minutes 29. It's a very good Helloween song, nothing wrong there, but there are just better ones on this album, but still better than Robot King, but only just. Coming in at number 6, we've got Rise Without Chains, just under 5 minutes. Catchy lyrics, upbeat song, very good Halloween song. Number 5, Out for the Glory, the opening track. Again, it's over 7 minutes long, but it's an uplifting opener. I'm not a big fan of the narration over the top. The guy's voice, I don't know if it's because there's narration over it. Sometimes it can be hit and miss with me, but I think it's because the guy's voice sounds like, the Douglas Adams book, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. There was a UK TV show in the 80s, maybe early 90s, adaptation of that book. And the guy that played the leader of the Vogon constructor fleet, it sounds like this guy. I don't think it's the same guy. I'd be surprised if it was the same guy. But that's the picture I get in my head when I hear Out for Glory, and that kind of spoils the song a bit. But it is, in the top 5 songs on the album for me. Number 4, Best Time. That's just an uplifting, catchy song. Nothing wrong with it at all. I gave that one a 9 out of 10. So we're in the 4 and above now. 9 out of 10 for, these are my rankings for Halloween songs as such. Number 3, Fear of the Fallen. What a fantastic song. That's really close to being my favourite. Start to finish, it has no flaws. It's almost the perfect modern Halloween era song. But it is beaten by, now these two, the top 2, and you'll get number 1 if you know the album tracks by when I gave number 2. But these two I gave both 10 out of 10. So I had to kind of split them purely on a emotional thought and an attachment to Halloween. So coming in number 2. Now, whereas I said Fear of the Fallen was almost the perfect Halloween song, Indestructible for me is the perfect Halloween song, certainly modern era Halloween song. It's like you're riding on a wave from start to finish. I believe it features all 3 vocalists. I think it's a Derris song with Kiske and Hansen on the chorus, but I love that song. Absolutely superb. And it is only beaten by a whisker by Skyfall. But what can I say about Skyfall? Even the full version, when I said before about songs being long and not making the best use of the time, Skyfall makes every use of its 12 minutes 11 seconds. According to the credits and the songwritings in the booklet, this is Hansen's only sort of major contribution to the album in terms of writing, and it shows. It's an absolute masterpiece. All 12 minutes of it. I much prefer it to the cut down, was it 7-8 minute edit that they did, they released as a single. I can see why they did that, but maybe they should have released a different song instead. And that, to me, Skyfall is the number 1 song on the album. But do check out Indestructible if you've not heard it, because that is, as I say, it's an incredibly close second. So there we go. That's my thoughts on the new Helloween album. It's not going to be my favourite album of the year by any means, but it's certainly not as bad as I was originally thinking it was going to be after the first couple of listens. Probably I was expecting something a little different. As I say, I certainly wasn't expecting 80s Helloween, but I kind of expected sort of Helloween plus from the previous few albums that I'm familiar with the addition of Hansen and Kiske, and I'm not sure. I don't know if they made enough of Michael Kiske being in the band, but I can certainly see why. Derris has probably the lion's share in there because it's his band. He's been there for 20 years. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are. You can. I don't mind it if you completely disagree with everything I said, but let's talk about it in the comments. I'd love to hear what your favourite songs on the album are and where you feel it fits in their discography as well. Thanks for watching. Catch you again soon.